Hey guys, this is EckhartsLadder. Hello and welcome to another video. And Revenge of the Sith is just such a good movie. There are so many little details. Like yesterday I was watching a scene for something and I noticed this cute little droid. He's just sort of moving luggage, and there are at least 3 different luggage droids in this scene. The entire movie is just visually packed in a way that I think no other Star Wars film is, and that's awesome. Literally every time I watch Revenge of the Sith, I notice at least one new small detail. It's the movie that keeps on giving. Another way to put it is that Revenge of the Sith is an extremely high effort movie. New models and digital assets are created when existing ones would have worked fine, and nothing exemplifies this better than the Order 66 scene. In my opinion, that single sequence in the movie is the best representation of the Clone Wars that we ever get, and that's not an exaggeration. I don't think that the Clone Wars TV show, for example, lives up to what we get in Revenge of the Sith. Why is that? Well, we'll look at this in depth throughout this video, but the main thing is just the diversity. When we watch the Clone Wars TV show, as much as I really do love it, it's the same spaceships and the same vehicles and the same dropships and generally the same troopers. However, as we'll explore, the Order 66 scene in the movie gives us a variety of exotic locations, vehicles that had never been seen before and that would never be seen again. It gives us this idea that the Clone Wars is this huge event and that we've only seen a very small slice of it, with Order 66 being another slice. It hints at a larger war, with the Republic military having far more and more varied equipment, much like a real-world military would. With that being said, let's start at Utapau, the very beginning of Order 66. Now, although we don't see any new vehicles or anything in this scene, we do get a Republic vehicle in the aftermath that we never see again, a sort of flyer or speeder. And as I've covered in a prior video, there are lots of new spacecraft and really incredible 3D assets hidden throughout Utapau, so I'll link to that video in the upper right hand corner. The second planet we see in Order 66 is Mygeeto, with clone forces being led by Mundi facing off against the Separatists. And right here we have several new vehicles already. I'll just pause on this scene. We can see several large Octoptara tri-droids. Now, this isn't a new model per se, but the Octoptara here is scaled up to be a distinct droid type, which I think is really cool and which makes a lot of sense. Then of course we have a very strange Republic vehicle in the back here, which is known as the Trident, or the Unstable Terrain Artillery Transport, the UT-AT. The Trident is really only seen in this movie during this scene. It's clearly a form of somewhat mobile, low-to-the-ground artillery piece. It's a really cool and interesting design, but we just get a snapshot of it here. Maybe it works really well for Mygeeto on the bridges. Maybe that's why it was involved in this conflict. We don't really know. Either way, there are several of them in this scene, along with the really cool customized clone trooper armor. I'm not going to take a look at each armor specifically for this section, but of course, just note the extreme variation between the different scenes. The clones really look like they're outfitted for a specific battle, more than just having some slightly different covers on their armor or different paint to reflect the environment. This is a lot of customization. I think it's really cool. Next up is Felucia. Of course, we get some really cool vehicles in this scene. The one that most people spot immediately is the all-terrain open transport. This is a vehicle that appeared first in Revenge of the Sith, and to my knowledge at least, has never appeared outside of this one scene, which is just insane. Now, I think the all-terrain open transport is a kind of dumb idea for a vehicle. I mean, I don't think there's any reason why you wouldn't put at least a cover over the top to help protect troops from fire, but it's still a really cool design. I mean, it fits the aesthetic of the Republic military very well. I'll pause here for a second to point out, first of all, that I think there is some scaling issues in this scene. The walkers just don't look like they're the right height. I think the AT-TE should probably be a bit larger. The AT-AP, which of course first appears in this movie as well, also looks absolutely massive. But besides that, not really important. I also do want to point out that we've got another vehicle that is often overlooked, which a lot of people just call the Swamp Speeder. You can see it right there. The Swamp Speeder's real name is the Infantry Support Platform. We see it in a few other locations on like some of these vehicles, including Star Wars Empire at War. But yeah, this is one example of Lucasfilm and ILM just going above and beyond. Like, you've already got new vehicles in the scene. You don't really need something that's so hard to see, but they added it in there because for devoted fans rewatching the movie, it's something cool to notice, and it does make sense. Like, obviously you want some sort of scout vehicle in this big slow moving line formation, so why not? I mean, this is maybe not quite a vehicle, but a little further on in the scene we also have clones riding beasts, which I think is a really nice detail on a planet like Felucia. The only, and I don't want to call this a disappointment because it's not a disappointment at all, the only small thing is that the separatist force that we can see them lining up against doesn't have any new vehicles, but I mean, kind of hard to complain about that when they're only in the scene for just a second. It looks like they've got some spider droids and some standard AATs. Cato Neimoidia in Plo Koon's death is really the only sequence which doesn't have any new vehicles, but I mean, the environment is just so cool that that's not even something that I usually notice. On Saleucami, we get the Republic Bark Speeders. Now, I'm not actually 100% certain if these were the first time they appeared in Star Wars media, but I do think so, at least on film. There are still some cool details to note though, like these Republic troopers on the ground here have some cool distinctive armor, and some are also being fed on by local wildlife, which is interesting. Then of course we have the Battle of Kashyyyk, which may actually offer us the most new vehicles. First of all, of course, we have the Wookiee Flyer, which is a really cool design, I think really appropriate for Wookiees, especially given what we know about Kashyyyk and their culture in the expanded universe. And note as well that there are actually several different types. And the interesting thing about this scene in the Battle of Kashyyyk is that unlike some of the prior Order 66 vehicles, some of the ones featured in this battle actually become a pretty prominent part of the CIS moving forward. We get the Confederate gunship. Staying on the CIS side, we also get those slug tanks, which are a fun design. Then we also get the battle droid transport vehicles. On the Republic side, however, I absolutely love the vehicles we get. First of all, of course, the Juggernaut, one of the best and most purely badass vehicles in Star Wars history, alongside one of the coolest walker designs in my opinion, the AT-AP. And we get a swamp speeder with a different paint job, so just an absolutely awesome Republic force on display here. There are also, and this is a sort of blink if you miss it thing because of how short the scene is, some AT-RTs. Those of course appear more prominently later on. But yeah, that's my closer look at Order 66, and the point of all of this is just to show you guys how chock full of detail this sequence and these individual scenes are. It's like these scenes really set the tone for a lot of what we get in future Clone Wars stories, especially when it comes to Republic and CIS military equipment. But that wasn't necessarily the intent. As I mentioned, this was just a cross-section of the war and a cross-section of Republic and CIS military technology. And I mean, some of these things, like the AT-OT or the Trident, appear in these scenes than ever again. It would have been nice to see more unique Republic and CIS technology. Especially when it comes to Republic spaceships. I mean, we basically have a few varieties and that's it. It would have been really nice, by the way, to have an Order 66 scene set in the middle of space. Maybe the turbo lasers on a cruiser stop from pounding away at a CIS ship to all turn on a single starfighter and just blast it to smithereens. But guys, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see me cover down below. Let me know if there's any aspect of Revenge of the Sith especially that you'd like to see me break down. I've done several videos taking closer looks at this movie, and I always find something, as I said, it's just a real joy to go through because you can tell just how much effort Lucasfilm and ILM put into this phenomenal film. But guys, that's all for now. Until next time, be safe, have a good one, and may the Force be with you.